Don't let where you come from or maybe even the things you've done in the past weigh you down. You can always make a difference. You can always make a change. And there is no guideline to who sits in this chair.
I'm outside the city-county building where local Pittsburgh government is responsible for driving the transition to climate solutions. And that includes electric vehicles, electric trucks, hybrid vehicles. How could we ensure that these solutions and these options, the vehicles that the city uses, are not only better for the city and for climate, but for people? Today I'm talking with Brandon Walton, who's responsible for the city's fleet of vehicles. In fact, that includes 1,000 vehicles. And one by one, he's working to transition vehicles to more energy efficient alternatives. Brandon, just to start us out, could you introduce yourself? Who are you, first and foremost? Let me just start there.
Yeah, so I'm, Brandon Walton, fleet manager for the City of Pittsburgh. I control all aspects of fleet in terms of maintaining them, helping to create the builds that we use, such as a police vehicle or a vehicle for our infrastructure inspectors. From thought of vehicle to procure vehicle to maintain vehicle to decommission vehicle, that's all me.
What does that have to do with climate change, climate solutions? Could you tell us more about that side of things?
Yeah, so climate solutions and climate change related to our fleet specifically, we're really trying to get creative with what we purchase because we know that, our diesel garbage trucks are polluting the environment. So every time we go out and search for a new vehicle, the first thing we think about is what alternative fuel can we use? Can it go electric? Is there CNG? Anything that can help us to put less pollution into the environment for our residents.
Could you tell us about what these vehicles are used for?
So these vehicles are here mainly because we're proud. Us as a city, we're proud to show that where we can, we're making a difference. So this particular vehicle is a Chevy Bolt. It's all electric, completely battery operated. We're currently using it with our mobility and infrastructure inspectors, as well as our permits and licenses inspectors. So 8-hour shift days, and they come back, park at the lot and charge. This particular vehicle here is a pursuit rated Ford Interceptor, and it's a hybrid model. There was a study done back in 2012 that showed that the police fleet for the City of Pittsburgh was the second dirtiest fleet out of our numbers. So going hybrid, we're estimating we could save 60% of our pollution.
What's the reaction from people who are driving these vehicles who might have used those other ones? Is there a difference, and what's the feedback you're hearing?
At first, it's kind of like a hard sell. A lot of people are I think, a little afraid of, where am I going to charge it? Is it going to be as capable as the vehicles that we're using in the past? But once we get them in them, once we get them driving them, they love this thing compared to the regular model. It's got a little more power, it's more comfortable to drive, and it's quiet. For the electric vehicles, I think everybody is really amazed at the fact that it is completely capable of doing everything that the sedan they were using before was.
Just to kind of maybe take some steps back in your journey, what's your first experience with cars? Because I know that that's part of your journey. Can you tell us more about that, where that passion sparked?
I've always really liked cars. I love the '67 Mustang. I did 2 years of auto body in high school, and since then I've just kind of always been into being a part of vehicles. So I went from high school to the military. I was a mechanic in the military, moved up and went into management, and here I am.
How did you end up in the Army National Guard instead of working as a mechanic, for instance?
Yeah, so I ended up in the Army National Guard. Basically, I grew up in McKeesport, small town. I didn't really have much, so I didn't make it to college. So first choice was to go to the military. I figured it would build on my character and give me an opportunity for the future.
I'll say the people I know who end up in the military, even my dad when he was in the Army, that wasn't where he saw things going with his life, but that just was the stop that made sense for him. But why did that make sense for you?
The military made sense for me because, growing up where I grew up, it was easy to get in trouble. And as a kid, common sense isn't common, right? We make stupid mistakes, we do dumb things. Sometimes we act before we think. You know, it's no fault to us. We're just kids. We're still learning about life. So, you know, I made some mistakes like that as a young adult. You know, I dropped out of school at 16. So I just realized that that wasn't me. That's not who I wanted to be. I wanted to be better than that. You know, I didn't want to be another statistic. So I moved with my father. My parents were split. I moved with my father down to Virginia where he was stationed in the Air Force. And I worked to get my GED, worked 2 jobs at a restaurant, came back home, and I started preparing myself to go to the National Guard. I kind of fell back into some of the things that I was doing, and then, you know, I just realized, like, this is it. And I called a recruiter, I signed my contract, and I haven't looked back since.
What is it that people like get from taking that path?
One of the biggest takeaways I got from the military wasn't just making myself better, but realizing that I could actually use my experiences and put myself out there and help other people or do things for my community or my world, you know.
What excites you most about the work that you do with the city?
It's got to be just the ability to give back. I work for the city as my job, but really I work for the taxpayers of the city of Pittsburgh, the folks that live here and need the services that the government's supposed to provide. So I get to give them cleaner vehicles, newer vehicles that can actually provide the service better. It's really fulfilling when you go home and you look back and know that you are making a difference. Might not be known to everybody, but some people recognize it.
And like, what's the scope of the impact that you're having? What does that look like?
It's huge. I mean, the city operates just over 1,000 vehicles. We started with sedans. Next, we're moving into garbage trucks. We're going to start testing some electric garbage trucks to see if they can handle all our hills. Electric pickup trucks coming out this year. I would say of our fleet, 50% of it is probably trucks. So that's going to make a big impact.
What do you love about Pittsburgh?
We're innovators, and we're okay with being the first to try something. When it was time to look into the hybrid police cars, it wasn't about, are they making them work somewhere else? No, let's just try it. We'll be the ones to show them that it works.
It's 2 very different things to like work with the city to manage a fleet in this way, something that's more of a white collar job traditionally versus like a mechanic, and the work that you do with auto, which is blue collar. So you're doing a lot to blend these careers, but have you seen a benefit to just bringing that diversity of perspective to the table?
I think I've definitely seen a benefit from that diversity. My background allows me to understand all sides of it, from the operator bringing their vehicle down because it's broke or, you know, needing something changed, to the technician who's listening to the problem and trying to figure out what's wrong, to the service writer who's doing the paperwork, creating the work order, calling the customer to say their vehicle's done, all the way up to the supervisors, the shop supervisors that are trying to train the younger technicians or, you know, schedule the workflow so that they get the vehicles out, or maintaining proper customer service. Having the understanding from all sides allows me to work with everybody equally and help everybody kind of understand where we're all coming from.
Like, is there any advice or any words of wisdom that you have for people who like come from where you come from in that sense?
Don't let where you come from, or maybe even the things you've done in the past, weigh you down. You can always make a difference. You can always make a change. And there is no guideline to who sits in this chair. It could be anybody. You just gotta want it. You just gotta work for it. You know, you gotta be that type of person that's willing to do it. That's all. I'm Brandon Walton, and I'm helping the world reach drawdown by vehicle electrification.